but now there's audio.
Yay.
So theoretically everything is good to go there. Lower down this music track so you guys have some background music this time. Let us know if it's too loud, too quiet, anything along those lines, please. That way we can balance it out properly for you. But this should be quite good. So, tonight we don't have any specific giveaway things going, as we just ended this run of the big giveaway with Reckless Deck. However, you guys can still head to RoleThis.com/reckless to go to their main page, and then when you purchase anything from Reckless Deck, you can actually save at this moment 15% off of your entire order. So definitely go check them out. They were one of the first supporters of this channel, so it's super cool to go out and buy their stuff. So definitely worth checking out. Their stuff is really cool, and the specific link is not properly available, so it's that one. Ironically, that's another one of those things where I kind of have to change things right at the beginning of the stream because I forgot to do a thing. But getting into things while I do that, recapping kind of where we were with everything. Last week we had contracted illness. No. Only one of us. So last week the group adventured around the city of Dwebblehelm, heading in, speaking with the warden, and gathering some information and sharing some information as well. Mm-hmm. Then upon leaving, Caelid Strats performed a few miracles to the eyes of those around. Mm-hmm. And healed a few, offered the services of our group, and now are then set forward, explored a little farther down to check out around the docks.
Well, we went to the temple first.
That was in your kind of journey. So heading towards the docks, you guys came across a small temple that was actually to Koro, the god that Caelid Strats follows and struggles with on a daily basis. They met another Dragonborn, similar to Kale in coloring, and beyond that, nothing, because he was ancient and very priestly and kind of your typical monk type look. With actually a beard as well.
And his name started with a K, like all Dragonborns.
And his name did start with a K, which I meant to go back and re-research what the names of everybody was. But hopefully, what I have in store for you guys, once we get to it, doesn't involve any names that I don't have on these papers. We shall see, though, because at some point you guys will go back to the city. So I'm going to put it on one of you guys to remember the guy's name and address him as that when you start. Otherwise he will be known as K. And after the temple, you guys did adventure around a little bit, finding Maze's crazed dwarven friend's shop, and speaking with the attendant that was there and finding out that he was not. There was a bit of I wouldn't call it a scuffle, but
kerfuffle.
A kerfuffle with the appearance of the ghostly figures that happen to haunt Dwebblehelm in the evening, and Ilandwar's insistence on scaring this dwarf or something of that nature, at the very least getting more information from him, discussing further, as he only wanted to shut the door at that point.
Yep.
And then after these instances and exploring around just a few for maybe an hour or so more, night began to fall. Knowing that at nights is when the specters tend to come out of the water at the docks of Dwebblehelm, it was made apparent that everybody should head back to the inn where they had rooms. You guys did so, and Maze insisted upon staying outside on the roof as there were no windows where she could witness the events that were said to take place in the evening. This was somewhat a part of a contract that had been presented to them by the warden. So through a slight argument, Maze was given her way and allowed passage to the roof, along with Coral, who was sent up there wielding the raven-ended sword that had come from Lumor, that was known to alight in a daylight manner that would keep these type of creatures away. Or at least out of arm's reach. The dwarves that run the establishment decided that this could be allowed, but that there would be a barred door put in place to prevent anything from getting in, as it was known that the only way to prevent yourself being taken in the evening by these specters was to be inside with the doors closed properly. This seemed to work well for a while, with Maze and Coral sitting up on top watching the specters head throughout the city. And then late in the evening, early morning, as they both kind of began to drift in and out of their sleep states, Maze and Coral found themselves surrounded by a multitude of specters that were making their way up onto the rooftop where they sat in some attempt to potentially take them away. As they got closer, Coral raised the sword and did keep them at bay, while Maze shot out a multitude of spells to disperse and destroy some of the beings. Hearing the commotion above, Kale and Elandwar insisted on pushing past the dwarves that were set in place to guard this access point, succeeding in doing so, though they were hindered in their moments of trying. And in the end, Kale Strats, we'll say through a miscommunication between player and DM, but realistically it would have happened this way anyways, blew the door open and destroyed it, thus leaving a hole in the roof that Coral and Maze were able to jump through to get to safety. Upon doing so, the light of the sword did for a while keep the specters at bay out of the hole, while Maze ran around and tried to gather materials to rebuild a quick barrier to put up. A combination of misses with a hammer and trips and falls caused this to be a little more difficult of an instance than expected, which resulted in Kale Strats taking up the sword to use his great strength to hold back these creatures. Doing so just in the last moment, as the nails were being pressed in, he reached up and finalized the nails, sending out a shot of moonbeam energy through everything above him, below him, and himself as well. In this, he dispersed a great number of the specters, sealed the door, stepped back down to the two dwarves that had been attempting to prevent the actions that took place, both of which immediately left without much in the way of words, and don't appear to be individuals that will be remaining in this line of work. Or at least in this town, if anything. That is pretty much where we pick things up. You guys had just kind of plopped down on the floor there. These guys, the dwarves have left. You guys are, the three of you and Coral up top, just, you know, panting from exertion type of thing at this moment, just kind of gathering your wits and going forward. What will you do?
Well, that was more than I expected.
They float? Or, like, I don't know.
I really hope you have something better
I mean,
to show.
Being up high, I didn't think they would go up there, and then...
They're ghosts, but...
Did you see anything while you were up there?
Well, a bunch of dead ones. I mean, clearly they're ghosts.
But did they go anywhere? They came from the water. Where did they go? Other than the roof of this place.
And Maze, what you remember from that is that they came up kind of just all throughout the town. They came from the water and then dispersed across and just went down all the roads. You do distinctly remember up on the cliffside, there was a couple of them that had gone up the kind of narrow path that leads up to a weird house that's up there. The lights inside of which had lit up, and then the spirits around it completely dispersed after that.
Do you relay that of the bright light of the tiny shack? And they don't really like go door to door. I feel like they sensed life, like detect life, and they knew we were up there. I mean, we were not like screaming and waving like, "Hey, ghosts, come get us!" We were watching them, and they can detect human life.
And tiefling life and goblin life.
Yeah, tiefling. They know the blood. Oops.
So what you're telling me is that you've learned about a shack and nothing new.
No, other than I know for sure they are specters or ghosts. They are undead.
Though maybe we should check out the shack then. What time is it?
We should, but it's very far
basically
away.
early morning,
Early morning. Like the normal time.
6 a.m. in essence.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's excellent for you, but I spent a night without sleep,
Yeah.
so I'm not going to do that again.
Are we going to just stay here and wait for
Oh, we've got the
RoleThis
rooms.
to show up and say, "Hey, what happened to door?" Like, I don't know.
Maybe we can answer those questions.
Okay. So we're going to rest here.
I'm going to. I don't know what
Okay.
you're doing.
I would like to rest before we investigate the shack. Whoever's on that shack knows how to deal with them. Because this light dispersed a lot. I don't know if it was magic or mechanical, but it was very effective.
Very well. We'll rest here. Rest quickly. And we'll
Here
go
meaning where you are, or here meaning in your rooms?
Back to the rooms for me.
back in the rooms.
Okay. As you guys step out of this kind of attic area.
Maze is gonna tie some little caution rope, like just because I can, like made out of leaves. Why not? Let's get creative.
Okay.
Yellow leaves.
Chained a bunch of yellow leaves, and it's just caution right there.
Perfect. And I'm rolling very poorly this evening.
Good.
Glad I don't have a whole lot of rolls that I need to do.
Yet.
So, as you guys step out, make perception checks for me, all three of you.
Toe. Yikes.
23.
8. I'm sleepy.
8.
Yeah.
15.
Tired, man.
You see Coral poof out. You just kind of out of the corner of your eye, you look over, you're kind of just looking for her, you know, like, where's Coral at? And you look over, and she's right before your eyes kind of really lock in on where she is, and you don't quite see it. And Maze, you're completely unaware.
I'm
You're
just so
busy
tired.
with your string.
Yeah.
And then as you guys step down from the ladder that leads up to this kind of attic space, you turn around to see Darla Stonemason, the purveyor of this inn, as far as you're aware. Arms crossed in front of her, staring quite unhappily at primarily the two of you, but also you're not being avoided in this. This cannot stand. What on earth were you, the three of you, thinking?
I just wanted to observe them from what I thought would be a safe height, and that way we could get rid of them so we don't have to go through this again.
You were given strict instructions to stay out there and to not open any of the doors to my establishment, let alone, and she glares specifically back to the two of you, destroy my building in any manner. What have you to say for yourselves in this matter?
Some lives needed saving, so I saved them.
By breaking an agreement.
Would you leave your son out there if it was your son?
Is this your son?
It's family.
Was my squire out there?
Regardless, we had an arrangement.
That is
We had an agreement, and we had a deal. You are not welcome here any longer, and we expect 1,500 gold to pay for the damages
Oh, good luck with that.
and to pay for the loss of 2 employees of mine.
What are we on, day 3? Day 2?
This would be
This
the
would have been
beginning
second
of
night.
2.
2.
And we paid for 5 days. And I gotta look up how much. Because we were gonna math. They're like, okay, just keep the rest and we'll go.
If you do not wish to pay properly for the damages you have caused, then you are welcome to speak with the guards. And, conveniently at that moment, 2 of which step up the stairs. These are not Darla's guards, these are Town's guard. You can tell by the crest that they have on their armor. They step forward, they're not, hands on weapons ready to fight you guys, but they are here to take you away if you're unwilling to come to an agreement with the purveyor of this inn. And they just kind of silently just walk up.
Why 1,500? That's a lot.
The cost of retraining 2 employees to the quality of our establishment, along with
They weren't very good.
replacing
They didn't do a very good job.
along with replacing the damages that you caused to the physical structure and to our stores. Storage, the stuff you broke to make the new door.
Oh, how about
You broke,
I go?
you broke a door, you broke a bunch of boxes, and basically scared off 2 of her employees.
Okay, well, I will remove the door that we put up there to keep them from getting in so you can have your stuff. I can mend it so your storage will be better. You'll still have that hole in there to deal with tonight. And we will go
Mending?
to the warden.
If you mean to fix it via the spell mending, that doesn't actually work.
Yeah, but she doesn't either know that.
Okay. Then roll for deception.
Okay. Oh, God, what is this stupid dice? You said deception? 8.
The cost is 1,500 in gold
For the door.
for the door and for the loss of 2 of my well-trained employees.
Did they die?
They would not have had any risk to their lives had it not been for you 2.
So they didn't die. Where are they?
Well, you saying you 2, it was her idea.
I was informed that it was you 2 that damaged the structure, causing all of this issue, and assaulted my men.
I actually didn't touch your men until they grabbed me.
Doing their job.
And it's not assault, is it? I was doing my job, saving lives.
Your job
It's saving lives.
not
I'm a blade.
to destroy here.
Saving lives. I'm a blade. That's what
Take
I
them
do.
away. I want nothing of this anymore. The warden will hear of this, and you will be dealt with accordingly. And both of the guards step forward specifically to you to restrain you because of your aggressive nature in regards to this. Are you
Why?
going to resist?
Why? Because I'm disagreeing with them?
Are you going to resist?
No, I'm gonna resist, but I'm gonna keep talking.
Okay, feel free.
We'll have to
They
tell
are going to
all those
walk up,
people
take
to show
you.
up here
They're
for
going to
miracles
kind of
to go.
shoo the two of you, kind of, motion for the 2 of you to get in front. Are you going to do so?
Wait, in front of them or just
In
back
front of them.
upstairs?
Guards?
In front of the guards to lead the way out, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll walk out.
I'll walk out front and be like, oh man, hopefully all those people don't show up here for a miracle because they're not going to get one.
And each one's going to rest a hand on your shoulder and just kind of like, not
On
shove
him?
you, but like just nudge you forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Because
you're
I'll be
gonna
like,
go
it's a friendly warning not to touch me.
mostly quietly.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm doing the whole like, hopefully the people don't show up here.
perfect. You do see quite a few doors open, slightly, as all of this is going on, and shut as you guys walk past.
And as we walk past, Too bad this isn't secure anymore tonight. There's a big hole up there. I'd suggest paying to stay somewhere else.
Convenient next morning.
Yeah.
But as soon as you guys do head downstairs, you notice that there is a halfling man standing at the base of the stairs, kind of just stroking his chin, shaking his head and looking up at this whole scenario. Dala, this is not necessary, gods, this is not necessary, no, this will not be needed. The three of you, please, step to the bar, please, here, just aside. Let me converse here with the fine purveyor of this establishment, if you don't mind. And you recognize he is the halfling that had been outside of the keep the other day, as you guys came out. The one that was like, oh, that's where I find you, and walked away.
Oh, okay, that one. Gotcha.
Yeah. Darla. And you kind of hear this in kind of hushed tones. I believe that we can come to an agreement on this that is for your benefit. If you would just but hear me out. Fine. What have you this time, Derlisle? Well, I will pay for what you've asked. And he produces a large velvet sack of, you assume, coins by the noise it makes. Hands it to her. And she takes it, opens it, looks in, kind of rushes it around to make sure that there is, in fact, gold all the way through. She curiously looks at him. And for you, my dear, he pulls out this necklace that is a very beautiful, finely intricate metal of some kind. It appears to be maybe kind of a white gold, but then it kind of seems to shift back to a gold and kind of goes just back and forth. And the gems that are set across it are beautiful, exquisitely crafted, the large central gem, and then individual spaces on each side that hold gems that then have smaller gems kind of around that. And he very ostentatiously presents it to her and kind of bows. And you again notice that he is in very nice clothing. He seems very wealthy, very well off. And he presents it to her, and she kind of, at this point, actually is like, ooh, goes kind of wide-eyed at this. Well, Derlisle, this certainly would accommodate for what has been done. And she kind of gingerly puts it into her kind of side satchel, basically purse. Just kind of puts it away. And make perception checks, the three of you, while you're watching this happen. And no, it's not for Coral coming to steal it.
Oh, man.
Which would be amazing.
16.
I have a plan for Darla.
And
she's not going to be happy.
And what did you roll?
9.
And Kale?
8.
16.
Maze, you kind of being interested in the conversation, but also a little more easily distracted. Glance about to the kind of the rest of the area that's here, and you notice two massive minotaurs one standing by the door, another kind of off to the side, not in the shadows, but kind of in the shadows on the other side of the bar, both of which have large double-headed axes, both of which are dressed in very nice black vests with silver embroidery around them. And the weapons are exquisitely crafted as well in a similar black and silver style. Both of the minotaurs they look identical and are black-furred, very well-kept, glistening in the light that's in here now, and just quietly standing there watching the conversation take place. As the conversation kind of continues on a little bit, you see Darla call the guards over to her and hushedly speak with them, one of which is kind of, "Are you sure?" "Yes, that will be fine." As you say, milady, and turns and walks out. Come on, let's go. And both of them do leave. Durlyle then bows again to her and turns to the three of you. Well now, if you three would not mind, I do believe I've earned at least a moment of your time.
Turlyle, is it?
Durlyle. Durlyle Carver.
Very good. Thank you. I appreciate what you've already done for us. What can we do for you?
Certainly. I do not wish to speak of this openly in public, but if you three would accompany me now to... no, you were never actually tied, but you were you would have been
on
physically
hands or
tied
restrained?
if they, if you had tried to burst away or something crazy, which I wasn't expecting, but it was a possibility. So you're free to move about and everything, but Durlyle is now kind of awaiting your response.
First thing I'm going to need is some sleep.
Rest can be provided. My home is just up the way, and seeing as you are no longer welcome here, I would recommend gathering your things. You are welcome to stay in one of my rooms, or a multitude if you should wish to be separate from each other while staying. The accommodations will be free of charge, no charge of any kind. Just your time, just conversation.
Well, give me a minute and then you can lead the way. I'll follow.
Oh, certainly. And you, will the two of you be joining us?
Yes, I do appreciate what you have done for us.
Perfect, wonderful.
I'd like to find my squire if we can.
Oh, the goblin, yes. Well, we will search around a little for her as well. If you are here, little one, you are also welcome to join us.
I saw her poof away when the guards came, so she might be around here. She might not.
Actually, all three of you make perception checks.
21.
Good.
18.
Also
17.
good. Almost good enough.
Almost.
By
Almost.
1. You just got it. You just missed it. When he makes that kind of gesture of if you want, kind of thing, he then zeroes in and looks down right beside your leg. Mm-hmm. You look down, she's not there, but he very intently looks there and kind of winks, and you just catch it.
Okay. I just kind of stretch out the old tabard.
Maze is gonna go up to get her things, but I'm gonna do the little flirty wave to the minotaurs as I walk by, a winky wave.
Okay, perfect.
Winky wave, and then go get my stuff. Winky face.
As you do this, to both of them individually or to just one?
Both.
Okay. As you do so, each one just kind of
Because I've never seen a minotaur before.
Just lowers his head slightly. Doesn't do much else.
It's I'll get them. I'm gonna go upstairs and get my stuff.
Okay, so you guys gather your things, come back down to the area here,
Yes.
and make your way out to the street following Durlyle.
Durlyle.
Yep. And which is a random name, just popped into my head. It was kind of funny. I was sitting there going, what's a halfling name? There we go. And there's a lot of why is this halfling here in a dwarven city? Okay, whatever. I'll skip that and then just get to this. And then I went from that and then developed literally everything that's about to happen. It was kind of just an interesting thought process on this guy. But as you guys continue on, you find yourselves heading north, somewhat towards the keep again, but turning away to the left just short of it. Keep being on the north side of the main road. You've turned now to the south side of the main road. Excuse me. My neck is tensed up. You guys had just left, maybe a block or so. You come to a very ornate gate and kind of hedge. You find yourselves in a very nice part of town kind of thing. Seems very aristocratic type of area. Most of the well-to-do merchants and others appear to probably live in this space. Very well kept, very ornately carved in a lot of the different locations as you pass other homes here. One of the largest of which you are now standing in front of. The two minotaurs have traveled with you on this, behind the three of you, 4 of you, because you did feel your tabard get a little heavier. So the Minotaurs have followed you guys, just not even, weapons aren't even up at their chest, they're each down at their sides, just kind of casually walking behind you, with Durlyle leading you, giving you kind of this tour as you go. And that there is the stonemason's old establishment before they moved to the new one. There, of course, the keep, and headed that way, you actually would find the road to the central point of the kingdom. And here we are at my home. And he bows like kind of overly deeply to you guys.
Mace just claps.
Welcome. And you guys walk in through the gates that are now opened by 2 other Minotaurs, and all still matching the same exact styling and appearance of the other 2.
Mace says to
Exactly
Darlyle,
the same height of 9 feet, and all very muscular, like when they came out of the doors of this place, remember how I described the doors of the stonemasons in being large?
Yeah.
They turned sideways
Gotcha.
to go out from the doors to just make it easier for their mass of horns and physical body.
Mace says to Darlyle, I am very impressed with the company you keep. I've never seen a Minotaur in person.
Well, they are very loyal, very strong individuals, and I greatly appreciate their presence here. They have been a great assistance to me, and tend to keep this place nice and quiet for me.
Amazing.
As you can imagine, being in this location of the city, we do occasionally get those that would wish to come in and leave with more than they bring. That has never happened here, and it is due to these fine gentlemen here. He kind of gestures to all 4
She's
now.
like, keep it up, guys.
Continues, now come, let's go in. Maybe we can have some breakfast, I'd say, as it is early morning, and well, so you're going to get a good breakfast.
That's true.
Continues in, leads you guys down into a dining hall. As you travel through the space, it is exactly as massive inside as it looks outside. No shift in this one.
It's as big on the inside.
And you guys are led to a dining hall, and within that there's a large polished table, marble flooring, large fireplace off to the side, also in marble with kind of columns around it and gilded gold all along the edges. Fire's nice and warm in there.
Maze activates her past nobility, hands in front, closely, not touching anything.
Perfect. And you guys are each set very close to the head of the table, where then you notice Darlyle disappear for a moment, and then up into the head of the table chair, which seems to have a little extra padding or something that sets him at eye level with everyone. Then food is brought out by levitation. You see no servants of any kind or anything of that nature, but
Unseen servants.
food does arrive and is set gingerly in front of each one of you. A multitude of options for drinks are provided, everything from ales and wines to a citrusy type of fruit drink, and then of course just standard water, and then some teas, and for your first experience of such, coffee of some kind. And as each thing is set down, he kind of goes through and describes each thing to you. The food is just kind of like your typical full-blown breakfast type of thing, similar to what you had ordered at the end, but of an even higher quality.
And Maze is just boasting Darlyle up, like, the food and the drinks are so exotic. I mean, it must be hard for you to get it here.
Well, yes, there are challenges with gathering these things. That there, and he points to the coffee, which none of you have tried before.
No.
You might have had some experience with it just because of where you are,
it's
or
warm.
from Marcos. But this would be your first general time, like actually trying it if you choose to do so. He points to it and says, "That is from Borala across the seas. It is a delicacy that I am attempting to bring to this region." Yes, you will see.
So you're a merchant.
Oh yes, of many sorts. Yes, you will be seeing Carver's coffees very much across this region.
Many sorts.
Absolutely, I specialize in things from textiles and spices and coffees and such, of all sorts. There are many, many items that are needed from other parts of the world that I bring here to Anadar.
And I
by
take
way
a
of this port.
Oh, it's hot.
I'm gonna do like everything. It's gonna take like the water, like
Even the water itself, there's like
yeah, and
purest water you've ever tasted.
just go through like that's very
It is water.
each bit.
And make a Constitution save.
Okay.
Special water. That wasn't water.
It's amazing water.
13.
And
Oh, because of you. Yeah,
still amazing water.
So amazing water.
I'm around.
So, what have you learned from the evening as you spent your time outside?
As I don't know if you're aware, we had taken on from the warden to try to solve this thing. I know that they are undead. I know that sounds crazy, but I've seen illusions that people use to trick people. This is not that. This is truly an undead thing, and I didn't think they can just come off of the ground. I've seen them spread out. Weirdly, it seemed almost in like groups or pairs, and apparently they float. I know it sounds weird, but I was up high and they're able to get here.
Oh no, that's their nature. We are used to that here, but as you
it's
are not
new for me,
familiar with
yes.
this area, I can see how it would be new. But yes,
With you being
that's
familiar,
normal.
do you know who lives up on the cliff in the shack?
Ah, yes, that's old Parthor.
Hathor.
He is an interesting fellow indeed.
He seems to know how to deal with these things.
Yes, he has a wide array of skills. I have used him for purchasing and locating certain items at times. I am a bit of a collector, you see, and he kind of gestures around to the room, but also in a way to try to remind you of your walk through like the hallways. You recall seeing a significant amount of like artifact type things. Almost like walking through a museum of sorts. But yes, old Parkus Parthor, he runs the shop up there. That's Parthor's Promontory.
Okay.
Well, we'd actually like to meet him if you could make an arrangement for that. That'd
Oh,
be
of
nice.
course, absolutely. I could very, very much introduce you. You, I believe, would find quite an interest in seeing one of your own kin again. They are not that common here in Dwebbelhelm. In fact, Parthor is the only one that we have as a resident, and rarely do we see Dragonborn come through here.
Forgive me, Darla. I know I do appreciate everything that you have done for us. I know we're just weary and there's a lot going on. What can we do for you to pay back your kindness?
Oh, well, right to the point. Well, first off, I am always interested in special items, artifact styling or exquisite craft. If you happen to have anything from your travels thus far, I would be more than happy to purchase from you. If you would like to retain things, that is perfectly all right as well, but I have always found an interest in seeing what weary travelers have to offer.
Would you like the shards of a sword that killed a god?
Oh, that seems rather interesting. May I see this weapon?
Just kind of pull it from my back and slowly unwrap it.
Just kind of lay it on the table.
Yeah, lay it on the table with the cloth underneath.
Perfect. Yeah, he looks down to it. Oh my! And as I've stated before with this, there is some faint kind of like purplish pink energy that sparks through the cracks that are in the blade. Not sparks like but just
Yeah.
like kind of flows through it.
Yeah.
Oh my, that is a very interesting blade. The enchantment on there. You said killed a god? What
Indeed.
on earth? Might I ask which one?
Well,
And he's
it
kind
went
of
by-
pulled out these little like spectacles now, and it's kind of like got the edge of his nose. He's looking over him.
went by
I've,
the name of Lamore, but I believe she's the one here who would know
His
more about
true
that.
name, as I learned as he was dying, was Samal.
Oh my. That is. Are you sure?
I've been with him my whole life, and I am sure.
If there was a dragon, a black dragon,
Well,
deceitful indeed.
He is. He is not a good one.
would 300 gold pieces suffice for this blade?
What are you going to do with it?
Display it, of course. It is actually a part of a greater collection that I have been seeking to gather.
Can we see the rest of the collection?
Oh, certainly, after we have consumed our meal, for sure. I will gladly show you the rest of what we have here.
I'm gonna just speak directly to him, kind of hush.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we should give it to him, but if we get promise, that he's not going to use it.
There was nothing.
Now, while they're whispering, I talk to him just because I hear them talking.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific you are looking for that you would like for us to keep our eyes out for?
Because of the historical importance.
Well, in fact, I do have a kind of an interest in the northern realm here. Up on the edge of the Lake of Dreams, there's a place called Nethrashara. It's the old elven kingdom,
Okay.
far north on the northern shores there of the Lake of Dreams.
Okay.
There is a rather dark tale that stems from that space.
Yes. Is it the tales? Is it possibly that was the city that was overtaken by a flood, or
A flood of sorts, yes.
Yes.
Not of
Okay.
natural means,
natural?
though.
Okay.
A flood of death.
What do you know of the dead that walks? Because I've seen closely that these resemble elves.
That they do. If you have also noticed, they seem to be adorned in armor and various arms that they do not draw forth while they are here. They have never done harm or damaged anyone here. They have taken away individuals that we have then never seen again. But we do not know where they've gone.
But no one's ever came back.
Precisely. However, these are elves in the nature of those from Nethrashara. And, Bargo, if you would not mind bringing me the Nethrashara tome there, the journal one, please. Yes. Thank you.
We were thinking there was some tie between the old elven village and things that are going on around here.
Well, my friend, it is not a village. That's for most certain. Nethrashara is a grand city.
Bigger than this one?
Yes.
Oh.
What it was.
Is it still a grand city, or is it a ghost town?
The city itself is still quite grand, though the inhabitants are not perverse and evil. They are. Here, yes. And he reaches over and grabs a book that is actually brought by a minotaur this time. He grabs it from him. Thank you very much, Bagwell. And he kind of sets it out in front of himself. And the book itself is a very well-bound journal-type book. It has a kind of leather coating to it and like a clasp around it. There does appear to be a little bit of spattering of kind of a dark liquid at one point across it. He seems to make a point of not touching that section of the cover and opens it up, thumbs through a few pages, gets kind of like 3/4 of the way through it, and you guys can make perception checks real fast for me.
got my 1.
Nice. You actually notice that the pages, as he kind of gets here, he thumbs through a few and then kind of thumbs back. The farther into the book is blank pages. Here at this edge is what's written. So what I have here is a history of Nethrashara. It is a history of what is most pertinent to this issue at play. It has a bit of length to it, however, I will gladly read this out and describe what has taken place up there so that you may know what you'll potentially be getting yourselves into. As I've told you, Nethrashara is the elven kingdom on the northern edge of the Lake of Dreams. Nethrashara translates from Elvish to Common directly as North Shore. Their banner is a silver raven on a color-shifting pearlescent background. Much of their armor, of course, as well, has traces of this color-shifting pearlescence. The king of Nethrashara was Gilvis Sorenway. Gilvis was a great and glorious figure in the far north, revered and honored by all good folk. His strong and beautiful wife, Sorelia, was thought to be the source of the northern lights, as they shone in her eyes at all times. Gilvis and Sorelia had no sons, only one daughter. This daughter's name is Mithressa, and she was never found among the dead after the fall of Nethrashara. Nethrashara was a beautiful place, of wondrous creations having exceptional quality and power. It was also home to a great school of magic, known as Delvara. It was known to have some of the greatest magic users trained there without prejudice to race or origin. And Maze, you have actually heard of Delvara before. It is said that a fair counselor and close companion of Gilvis Sorenway was in fact the one to bring about the downfall of Nethrashara. This fair elven figure held sway over many that came into contact with him, subtly twisting their actions and corrupting their minds, without ever revealing that it was his doing. This individual took a great deal of interest in Mithressa as soon as she came of age, and began an attempt at courting her. For some reason unknown, his charm was ineffective with her, and she turned him away, focusing on training with weapons and learning from various members of the Kolresi Groma about military tactics and the art of war. She became very skilled with blade and bow, and even showcased a talent for the arcane. This is where her father's chief advisor saw an opportunity. He began training her in ways unknown to the Kolresi Groma, methods of interweaving magic into martial skills. Mithressa began to spend time with him, and even felt a level of friendship. However, through the entire time they spent together, his manipulative nature could not pierce her mind. She learned much from his training, and gained skills and abilities unmatched in this age, but never gave herself up to him. Having given so much to Mithressa with nothing in return, he became enraged and went mad over his failure. He attacked her during one of their training sessions, seeking to overpower her and take her as his own, regardless of her disinterest. She had become too skilled, though. Her years of focus on becoming a supreme warrior, combined with the arcane teachings she had been given, surpassed even the abilities of her teacher. She had ascended and become a master of combat. The fight was still not an easy one for her, as her teacher revealed that he held a great strength and power within himself. But in the end, she prevailed. Striking him down, she saw an opportunity for a killing blow, but resisted in the last moment, in turn resisting his final press to claim her mind. She halted her blade and called forth the gods. They chained him and brought him before the king, where all was laid bare and his devious nature was revealed. It was in this moment that the king stepped forward, his dual raven-topped blades at his side, arms crossed in disappointment, and his brow furrowed at the betrayal. Suddenly, as he approached, the figure on the ground lashed out. Breaking the chains, he reached forward and grabbed both of the king's blades, swirling into the air, his tattered white robes transformed into glorious white and silver armor. As he spun with both blades out, he beheaded all 4 Koresigroma that charged up to protect the king in one single motion. As their lifeless forms hit the floor, he stepped forward. What a moment.
He stepped forward.
I had to find
Yeah.
He stepped forward, kicking the king to the ground. He raised up his blade, shouting violent curses that I will not utter here. Suddenly, Mithressa burst into the chamber, flanked by 8 Koresigroma, and followed by her mother, Queen Sarelia. Spinning on his heel without flinching, the figure threw the offhand sword at Mithressa. Being quick in reaction, she dodged the blade, that in missing its intended target, sped forth into the heart of the queen. Torn between 2 horrific sights, Mithressa froze. Her mother lay dying at her feet, with a blade in her heart, and her killer now stood with a blade aimed at her father. In her moment of shock and horror, Mithressa could do nothing, as she watched in slow motion. Her teacher and father's closest advisor plunged the blade into the heart of the king. In this moment, Mithressa became sole ruler of the northern world. Her coronation brought about by the death of her parents as she stood frozen in the throne room. The murderer turned, and in deft and rapid succession decimated the guards and court officials before turning towards his prize, the new queen of the north. As he stepped forward, he was robbed of his victory one final time, as the light of the northern sky burst through the domed ceiling, shattering the glass and the metal that held it aloft. The light was brought forth in the form of a large serpentine dragon, multicolored and reflective of the light of the sky. It swept down and grasped Mithressa gently by the waist and launched itself back into the night sky, leaving the city of Nethrashara leaderless and without protection. The scene that took place in Nethrashara was horrendous, as countless individuals were slain upon the shoreline of the Lake of Dreams by all manner of evil creatures that this murderer had collected and hidden around awaiting his command. Nothing is known of what truly happened to Mithressa after she disappeared, but over the past year there have been a number of raids on the city by the few surviving elves that now wander the wilds of the northern range. Some have claimed to see these snow rangers led by a woman that moves with unnatural speed and skill, surrounded by a mist of color akin to the lights of the northern sky. If this is in fact Mithressa returned, then the dwarves must be made aware, and he's now kind of looking up to you. The dwarven king was a friend of Gilvis, and would send soldiers to Mithressa's aid if it could be confirmed that she lives. But there must be some form of proof before he will risk the lives of his kin. That is the task I put before you, to determine if Mithressa still lives. For if she is properly adorned with her father's crown, she would command an army of greater power than has been seen by any mortal that currently lives, other than those of us that live here. Also, I would be willing to pay quite handsomely for any and all artifacts that could be claimed from this area. While there are some survivors, most of the city has fallen. My goal is not to sell these items, but to house them here as an honor to these that have fallen. And those items that are not claimed by any that still live are the ones that I would seek. If the owners live or their descendants live, they have all rights to them, and I do not wish for you to bring them out of the city.
That is honorable.
And that is where we're going to go to break. We don't have any kind of giveaway tonight, but again, definitely go to RoleThis.com/reckless to check out everything that Reckless Deck offers, and use the code RoleThis1 at checkout to save 15% off anything that you guys do decide to purchase there while we're on this break. Until then, it'll be about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll be right back here to dive back into how the party deals with this. microphones.
Yeah.
And we're back. Again, no special giveaway or anything this week, so we are just going to be jumping right back into the story. At that, after describing what has taken place in Nethrashara and proposing the task at hand, the Durlyle takes the book and closes it up, latches it again, and hands it back off to the Minotaur.
You said that was a journal?
Yes, it is a historical account.
So you're collecting a lot of historical things.
Precisely.
Is this like a museum?
Of sorts. I do occasionally allow visitors, such as yourselves, but I'm primarily seeking to be a protector of these artifacts, so that they are not damaged or defaced in any manner by the forces of such that seem to be back into the world now.
Okay.
Maze just says, "We know the sword you speak of. I have seen it many times."
I thought you might, based on this blade, and he points down to the Godslayer that you had presented previously. I thought that might be you'd have the ones he carried.
We have one raven sword. I only recently learned from the warden that a daughter exists, so I made it my personal quest to try to return it back to her.
Yes. Well,
There is a way you might be able to recover the second one.
you only have the one.
We do it.
And he looks concerned at that.
It
Like the face I
was-
made wasn't his
yeah.
face. The face he has is concerned.
It was under the body of a very large dragon that was decaying, some poison necrotics as it died. We couldn't get near it.
That is troubling indeed.
Would you like to see it?
The one you have, yes, certainly.
Indeed.
And while he pulls it out, is there something where they need to be paired up? Because I've only seen them together a few times.
When paired, the blades do increase in their potency, if you will, giving the wielder a very unnatural speed that is generally only seen in the Sornway blood. These blades can be used by anyone. However, when paired, they are much more powerful. However, what you've said is deeply troubling, as I am concerned with the ramifications of a dragon's decaying body on one of these blades, especially the one that wielded it to such great terribleness. And he just kind of looks distant now, like trying to process what's going on. A little shaken. The one you have, might I see it?
Just gotta present it.
And this one, before you set it down, he reaches his hands out and kind of catches it off the table.
And I start to wrap my other one up. I'm going to hold on to this one for a bit.
Oh, certainly.
It is mine.
Certainly, certainly. Yes, yes, exquisite. Better than I ever imagined. And he just really intimately looks at this
If you
blade.
want to find the sister to that one, it's in the Shifting Forests.
Okay.
Not too far into it, mostly off the road. If you want to send a search party, which I'm sure you have plenty of monies and minotaurs, it is going to be in a very large clearing, if it's still there.
That's the part I'm worried about. We will indeed send someone out to check this.
Might want to send a word to Feldar and ask for Morelia.
Oh, the sorceress there, yes. She is
So
quite
you'll-
nice.
She'll have a little bit more intimate knowledge about this. Perhaps even be able to guide you directly to where it was last.
Perfect. Perfect. I will send someone immediately, please. And he just kind of nods off into like a corner. Doesn't make a lot of sense to you guys, but he seems quite certain he was heard.
Yeah.
And he looks back again, now kind of setting now that your blade is removed from the table, setting the one in front of him. This blade would, of course, by birthright, be Mithressa's. However, she wields blades of her own, as is customary in that bloodline. I would like to retain this one, if you would be willing to part with it. I would strongly encourage this, as the loss of an artifact of this nature or the damaging of it would be incomprehensible. And to that end, I will give you 2,500 gold pieces for this blade.
Get a lot of breakfasts.
And it will be housed here for the remainder of this structure. In safety, guarded at all times, and never brought forth unless Mithressa herself requests it.
From lore, do you think Mithressa would step foot into this city?
Certainly. The city of Nethrashara was a great boon to Dwebbelhelm. Many beautiful works came through this port on their way out to the rest of the world.
And is she familiar with the name of the warden? Or you by chance?
I imagine she would be with both.
July.
I would hope that we can get some sort of letter stating that the blade is in safe care as proof. Because I'm pretty sure anyone could go to her and say, hey, we have your father's blade.
It is somewhat customary to write up a receipt of purchase.
Absolutely, we could do such, and it would bear my personal seal. If you would see fit, I could also arrange for the warden to affix his seal to this as well.
I would appreciate that. It means a lot to me that this blade gets back to her. This is a great trust from me to you.
Aren't we heading to her? Delisle, isn't she still alive? Shouldn't she be the one making the decisions?
She is alive, however the road is quite dangerous. If she is alive, I say, if this is the being that is up north. I have a significant amount of faith in this, as I am quite tied to the history of this city. So I am confident it is her. However, it is still technically an if.
If we find her, we can simply send her with the receipt back down here. She can claim it for herself.
If she wants to claim it, even.
Precisely. I do feel that there's a chance she may not wish to see these blades again after what happened with them.
They killed her.
Can I insight check to make sure he's truthful with
Go ahead and
the...
roll it.
17.
As far as you're aware?
I just want to make sure, because like
Perfectly and
Maze doesn't want to part.
honest and truthful and has no ill will or intentions in anything to do with this matter, as far as you can tell. I'm just messing with you. He's completely honest.
Is it fun to go higher on the price?
Roll inside?
22.
Yes.
Can you tell me which blade that was?
What do you mean?
The one that slew the king or the one that slew the queen?
This one is the one that fell the queen.
The last queen, or the last queen we know of.
Certainly.
So 2,500.
Mm-hmm. And if you could bring the other by any ways, 2,500 for that one as well. 5,000 for the 5,000 for the pair.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
You have more connection to these blades than I do.
in the way I rolled mazes. I apologize, but I have a deep connection to this blade. And I am having great anxiety in the thought of parting with it. I only wish to get it to her, and with a promissory note, if she refuses, it immediately goes to you. And I would be happy to quest for the other one.
Would you be willing to negotiate on this matter? I could keep it in my collection for the time being, under the expense I have chosen to provide for it. And if you see fit to come back and claim it for yourself, we could at that time discuss an option of possibly returning it for a set of favors.
I believe you mean no harm and you want to protect it. However, that sword has protected my life, and without it, my barrier from these dead things puts my life at risk. Do you possibly have something in exchange momentarily that I could borrow while we go up north that could do the same thing?
I had mentioned the School of Magic up there.
Yes, I am familiar with this.
Delvara was not just a place I knew of. Delvara was a place I attended. This is my connection to the city. I can show you how to do that exact same thing that the sword itself does on a whim.
And May's just like,
And as he says that,
He's like-
before you even respond, he just goes and just lights the space up to where you guys, like, it was already well lit,
yeah.
but it's sunlight, daylight right now in here surrounding his hands.
Oh, my sunglasses.
May's is just like, you attended.
I did. And the light fades away from his hands.
So is it true they could teach you almost anything that you desire?
They can. With enough dedication and the right skill set, you're able to learn much from this school. It is unfortunate that it has fallen as such, and those that trained there are unable to return.
I accept your offer.
Certainly. So 2,500 gold for the blade.
And lessons in magic.
A lesson in light for the sentiment.
Enlighten us.
It is known that under these circumstances, the blade will be retained here under my sole possession until Mithressa herself claims it.
Yes.
Are we understood?
Yes.
Wonderful. So.
And he reaches down and pulls out a like letter, like actually like an
Parchment, yeah.
envelope thing.
Mm-hmm.
You will find that the agreement is as said here, and he hands it over. And you pull it out and kind of like unfold it and look at it, and it is in fact exactly verbatim what was just said.
Okay.
And he never wrote anything. And you see on it is his signature and a seal of his.
Okay.
That is, it's in red wax, and it is just a small little ship. Just a little one. Looks like a schooner of some kind. Just little 2-sail, 1-room type of ship.
Maze, why don't you hold on to that one?
Okay. Sorry, I'm just updating. The sword is now with him.
Yep.
In my notes. With Darlisle.
Exchange it.
This is absolutely excellent. I am very pleased to be having this to add to the collection. And he kind of picks it up and hands it off, and it floats away.
Can you do that magic too? Can you teach us?
To make things float.
Yes, please.
That is a friend of mine that assists here. I cannot teach you to have friends necessarily, but with the right
I can
mannerisms.
teach you how to make friends.
That's dark.
That's all she says. He has no idea.
Right. Nobody. Well, Kale kind of will.
Kale would know.
So I'm over here doing the math of like, okay, what's 25 divided?
Oh yeah, you are doing the math. Oh, the
It's
promissory
800,
note.
and then she can just have the bonus 100.
Perfectly. Sort
Sorry,
that
it's how
out
much?
amongst yourselves appropriately.
800.
Okay.
Well, you had 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was yours ordered.
Now make sure you check what you have previously before you add it, just to keep yourselves on track properly, because sometimes it'll take away. Yeah, I looked at you guys. I think you only had like 15 or something
No, it's less
tiny.
than that. It's like 2 or
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
Didn't need it.
Actually,
Didn't
I
want
think
for it.
yours was empty. Coral had 15. Yeah, you had nothing because you actually did buy something,
Yes.
and it spent all of your money to buy it. Yeah, I remember that now.
Real poor.
I added the promissory note.
Nice, smart move.
You,
Just to make sure that you have it.
Yes.
I will also like for you guys to take this with you on your travels. And he presents a kind of iridescent, multicolored, shifting stone. This here is known as a calling stone. When utilized, this stone will call out to our fair dwarven king. He will then be able to know, without question, that Mithressa has returned. For she is the only one that can use it. It's just a rock as anyone else. A beautiful one at that. However, this was crafted by Gilvis Sornway, the High King of this city, Nethrashara, to be used in communication with High King Valastar Varanj, the Dwarven King located in Durfast. He will send an army to cleanse this city. If Mithrassa herself takes this stone, states her full name aloud, and that she has returned to claim her rightful crown.
And this won't work for an imposter, correct?
This will work for none other than Mithrassa herself. It is her blood that activates it.
That's good to know.
She doesn't have to die for it, does she?
No.
Oh, okay.
It may only
wouldn't it?
it may only be used by one that has the blood of Sonway in their veins.
Oh, that type of. I'm sorry.
Preferably within their veins.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I guess we're just a little delusion from being tired from lack of sleep. No. So I turn to them, I'm like, we have the undead to deal with, and we have the north to go. I mean, we have so many things to do. What do we do?
Heading to the same place, though.
He does hear this. They are connected.
So north would be better than to stay here and deal with the undead that we can't do.
We aren't staying here to deal with it, and then we have to go north to find her.
That's probably where the source is.
Once Mithrassa wears the crown, the army that is here will be under her command. They will have no need to be here any longer, and can be sent to a greater purpose in the east. They are trapped here and cannot leave due to the gates.
No. Oh, sorry, go for it.
I'd say we do rest here, and then I think we should talk to Barthor.
We need rest, but for your wise, you know this. Should I rest and learn this spell, or would it be wise to just exhaust through it? And how long will it take to learn this? Because I can do this, and I show necrotic, and I'm like, this, I don't know light, I know dark.
When you do that, he like waves his hands in front of himself, and this like shield of energy just in this kind of like whitish, like like not a gold sparkle, but kind of just this white sparkled energy just.
Yeah, because she's not proud of it. She's just like,
as you kind of
I could
let
do
the
this.
darkness kind of encase your hand. Yes, I'm well aware.
This is why I want
Please
to go
refrain
there.
while here. Thank you. And the shield kind of drops.
Yeah.
I can teach you right away. While the two of you find your rooms, and then I will show you personally to yours.
I appreciate that.
All right. Wonderful. It has been a long night, so I recommend resting now and
I don't know if it's necessary.
heading out in the next morning. If you wish, you could observe the nights again, though I don't imagine you'll see more than you saw last night.
This is true.
And after missing an evening, I imagine you'll sleep for some time.
Yes.
So, Mazikeen, was it?
Yes.
If you will. And he
She
kind of
follows.
disappears again from the table, just slinks underneath of it and
And
straightens his robes as he pops out.
of course, May's just hands
Or
in
his vest,
front.
I mean. Ceremony is
hands?
not needed here, princess. Now, come with me. And they kind of walk out, leaving the two of you there. One of the Minotaurs does stay and addresses the two of you. If you would like, I can show you your rooms.
I think I would like that very much.
Yes, please.
Follow me. He turns and walks slowly out of the room, just kind of slumbering to keep pace with you. Because if he were to truly stride, it would be somewhat difficult.
I would be jogging.
Yeah, a slight jog and a brisk run. And so he leads you
So you know what
through
they do before you
the
get
gilded, beautiful halls of this mansion up to the second level and up through a nicely carved staircase near the front. Leads you up down a hallway, again still ordained with a multitude of historical artifacts of various races and faiths and establishments that have taken place throughout the world. Some you're somewhat familiar with, elvish things from down south, some artifacts that you don't recognize in any capacity as to their structure or design. Some things seem ancient, some things seem foreign. There's multitudes of artworks in various styles as well. There's carpeting here. Not just rugs, as you've seen previously. There's actual wall-to-wall soft material that is very pleasant to walk upon. And you're led to 2 rooms across the halls from each other. And he motions, "This is for you, and this is for you. I'll be here if you need anything. Just call out."
I don't think that I will. Thank you.
Certainly.
I'll retire to my room.
Rest well.
Yep.
Both doors shut. And the maze. You
The maze.
are led through a maze of corridors that lead downwards.
Left, right, up, down.
Yep.
Yep.
And make a intelligence roll for me.
Oh, because we know how well I am at that. That was a 14, but I'm trying to scroll up so I can see my intel. Just add in my regular intel, not like a save.
Yeah, like add intelligence, basically. So minus
-1.
one. So
My intelligence.
you seem to keep a pretty good track of how to get from the
Very intelligent.
front of the building to the dining area. However, in trying to keep track of the various corridors that you head down, all quite similar in description to what I described with them, you end up getting a little disoriented and aren't quite sure of how to get back where you were. You are now down in, so you've gone down 1 level underground and then a 2nd level underground as well. And you're led down now what seems to be a more militaristic themed collection. Weaponry, different arcane staffs, armor, a lot of which down here. You pass by four separate like metal doors that are closed and have various carvings on the front of them. And then you come to a fifth door at the end of the hall, all of which are large double doors. This one is a silver door. The others being just standardized, just regular steel or something of that nature. This one is silver, and on it there is the like inlay of a raven on either side, both flying up over mountains with a lake in front, kind of a bas-relief into this. And the two ravens are made of this reflective, iridescent stone of some kind, very similar to what you have from what Kale has, I believe, of the communication stone, in essence. It resembles labradorite very similarly. Actually, it looks like that ring. I just realized that's what I'd done. I have an example. I actually have some that look exactly like the stone you guys have, but that's in my collection. So, you come through that doorway. He opens it, and he actually turns to you and says, "Mind the doors," as he opens it.
Mind them.
Yes.
And then he shuts them behind you.
They burn.
And you are now in a place that has a multitude of items that are similar in that stone's coloring. Some are metal, some are stonework, some are statues. All are elven in styling. There are a few blades and such that are around the room. There are two sets of armor that are exactly the same, one on either side. There is sitting kind of up at the very end, there's like a I forget the exact term. It's like an armor holding structure of like very nice wood. It's in the symbolism of a person. It's not a mannequin, but it's kind of like how a mannequin would be. And it's just meant for armor to sit on. Currently, it has kind of this set of iridescent robes on it with gold trim, and they're kind of stashed and tied around in the front. And then there is a necklace that comes down made of silver or white gold, something of that nature, likely silver, with one of these stones set in the center of it. On that, there is somewhat of a makeshift crown, is the best way to put it, because it doesn't match the rest of the stuff here. It's just silver and set with one of those stones as well, but you can tell it was crafted by a different hand than a lot of the rest of it here. It's not bad by any means, but there's better works that exist. He steps in, and on the base level here, there is a like sand pit, basically. Looks like a training area. It's filled with white sand. Seems more of a weapons training space. There's a stairway that leads up above that and to a platform that is kind of this ringed stone structure above the training pit itself. And the staircase is on the back side. So like you would walk around the circular pit and up the staircase, and the king shrine is in the center on the battle side. You walk up to this central space, and it's open central area with a multitude of different inlaid stones in kind of a north, south, east, west, and then bi-directions set kind of around that all kind of glow slightly with shifting colors and have silver inlaid all around them. As Durlyle gets up there, he steps into the center and turns back and says, "Now, a beautiful place, would you not say?"
Yes. Is this dedicated to the kingdom up north?
Yes. Yes, it is. This is my Nethrashara shrine.
It's impressive.
And thinking back, you also saw the sword that you had just given him.
So I figured it'd be here.
It was in the hands of the mannequin thing.
Okay.
That's what I meant to say.
Not the one with Cerilia's robe.
The
stuff.
crown thing.
Okay, yeah.
With
So it
the
was the crown.
robes and
Yeah.
all that.
Okay.
It's
Sorry, it probably
holding
wasn't Cerelia.
No.
No.
It's it's.
You said an iridescent robe.
It's an iridescent robe on a wooden mannequin.
Oh, wooden mannequin.
That's what it is, with a necklace
Gotcha.
and a crown that
So the
is.
Galeas.
What's the word for like aftermarket, but like off? It's an off-brand crown, basically.
Knockoff.
Yeah, it looks very finely done, but it looks like it holds more dwarvish stylings than elvish.
Gotcha.
And the figure was holding the sword
Gotcha.
as you walked past it. But Durlyle turns towards you. Well, now, is that the only spell you'd like to learn? Or would you like to see some of your other abilities firsthand?
I would like to learn more. I had an unfortunate upbringing where I had no teacher. That's why I wanted to make it to the school you attended.
I am aware. This is the magic you possess. It's dangerous.
Yes.
And you need to learn to control it.
I do.
It will take great practice, strict regimen, and eventually you will gain control. You must control yourself to control your power. So, first order of business though, I'd like to see your other form.
The other form?
And he kind of looks at you like he's very intrigued and inquisitive.
The one that doesn't like silver?
Yes.
I hold up my arm, but there's nothing there because I healed it. I'm like, I only recently got bit. I don't know how. There's a nice lady in the forest with muffins who said that, it would be fun, but I don't know how to do it.
One moment. And he kind of walks off down one of the support areas that hold this up into a room. There are rooms at each end, so there's like little wood doorways.
I just picture a little,
north, south,
like
east, west.
He's like looking down, like, okay, beginning test. First one.
So he walks into one of the rooms, and he comes back with a black velvet bag. And as he steps forward, he kind of pulls it down, and it starts to kind of glow in this white light.
Yeah, mine's all
And
silvery and
it
black.
has a very finely crafted vial in it of liquid that is glowing as he pulls it out. And the light that you see from it resembles moonlight. And he holds it up to you. Drink this.
I trust you with my life now. And then she carefully takes it, trying not to touch his hands because she's like unsure, like,
Okay.
and then drinks it down the hatch.
Okay. So as you drink it down, it tastes sweet and like just a really nice, like almost if you drink like the like sugar water that you would put out for hummingbirds. It's like that level of sweet, but then it like doesn't hit you with that explosiveness of sweetness. It's just like, oh, that's sweet. This is good. And then it kind of settles out.
It's like that mango tea we had last week. Yeah. Hey.
And then kind of mellows out for you. And you hand the vial back, And as you go to do so, it kind of drops from your hand, and you get really dizzy.
Like, oh, I'm
and he
sorry.
just like sends his hand, like snaps his hand out, and it just stops before it hits the ground, and then it's gently dressed on the ground. And then he just kind of steps back a couple steps.
And I
from
go
you,
down to the ground probably.
and
like,
you
it's just
definitely
like,
do.
ugh.
You fall down
Ooh.
when you hit the ground, dizzy, feeling sick, and then your back starts to kind of arch and tense. Not hurt, but tense.
You just gotta stretch it out.
It's like you're stretching your muscles, and then your sleeves start to get too tight for you around your shoulders as well, and your pants, your boots, all of which is too tight for your form. And you look down at your hand, and it transforms. It still has 5 fingers and fingernails and stuff, but it's larger, and you see like white fur across it. And you look at your fingernails in front of you on both hands, and they come to a point similar to what you remember from your dream.
Demon, yeah.
However, they are pink. They look almost like a dark amethyst or a light garnet, somewhat translucent even. But they're more of a solid pink. They're definitely pink. Look at that in kind of confusion, because the last time you'd seen this, they were black.
Yeah.
And then your back kind of like tenses again between your shoulder blades. Your face feels
And if I can, I reach back to make sure I don't have wings back there, because this is like my dream.
As you reach back, you don't even touch them,
Yeah.
but dark pink wings in that demonic light kind of come around you and throw a
Demonic wings,
thing of
sorry.
water. Yeah, demons, damn it. And around you, and they are a dark kind of, not fleshy dark pink, but they are skin, basically. They're not feathered, they're not hair, and they are pink. And they come out around and kind of curl in front of you, and then step back behind you, and you kind of arch back as now all of your clothing just explodes off of you. You look down kind of in shock at thinking your clothes are gone, and your body is covered in fur, white fur. And you kind of stand up now, and it dizzies you again because you expect to stand up to your normal height. But instead, you're a few feet taller than you're supposed to be.
Okay, so I could be bipedal. Okay, it's not like...
And you are standing, looking down at somewhat animalistic feet, but large and stable. And your muscles are strong. You can feel the strength in your body. And you kind of just rear back just out of like natural response and let out this long and loud howl into the air. And as you kind of come back down, kind of blinking your eyes, like reasserting your own self, you kind of just look around and you see Durlyle just smiling and looking way up at you because he's a halfling.
Yeah.
And he's like, now that is a sight indeed. And he comes over and pulls out a small mirror. And he says, now, don't freak out. And he looks the mirror at you, and you
roll to see if I freak out.
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, that's a nat 20. This is like my dream.
it actually?
It is a nat 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
When I needed it.
That's amazing, because I was really worried about you failing that one. And you are, in essence, you remember the winter wolf that you saw, Bryn's friend riding into the clearing?
Kira.
Yeah, Kira.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad you remember. And
I liked her.
you see that same appearance of a wolf's face standing well above height of normal. You look back and you see your horns are still intact, but they have transferred from their normal white to being pink, similarly matching your fingernails. And your eyes, bright, vibrant pink in color. Teeth are white. And you have little tufts of like this pinkish stripe down the top of your head. It seems to fade back as you kind of look down and try to see yourself.
Still got
the
my tail?
wings are around you, and in fact, you do still have the tail.
I wave at my tail.
It is the demonic tail,
Yeah,
as opposed to a wolf's tail.
but I'm still used to my tail. I was like, oh,
And
there it is.
yeah, and it kind of waves back at you. And a joke you like to play with yourself
Yes.
often. And
When no
a
one's
joke
watching.
you like to show others. A joke you've shown a couple of others
Yes.
in humor. And you are a massive winged and horned hybrid demonoid werewolf type of creature.
And if I can speak, like, I don't know if I can,
You don't know.
and I don't, and I say, this won't hurt anyone?
Careful, careful, and he grasps his head. Don't think so loudly when you intend to speak to someone. That's lesson 1.
Okay.
Perfect. You do not speak as speaking. Your mind speaks in
Wolf
this
cock.
form.
Like,
And you retain your normal sense of self, but your physical form and the abilities that come with it are transformed. Your speech will be inaudible and ununderstandable to anyone. It'll be inunderstandable. I didn't say inaudible. It's not even a thing that I said. Inunderstandable to any that are not of this same persuasion. But those you intend to speak with, if you are familiar with their speech, you will have the ability to speak with them. All you have to do is be within sight, as you normally would for a conversation, and process your thoughts towards them. Intend to speak to them, and your thoughts will stretch to them. Same in their responses.
and I look at him. Can this be controlled?
Yes, it is based on intention. Intention is the most important aspect here. And he kind of like pulls his hand back behind himself and make a dexterity roll
Okay.
with whatever stats you have on your sheet.
So like just a dex, not
The
a
regular dex.
Okay, so that's 12 plus where's my dex? Oh, 1, so 13.
Perfect. He throws this kind of like powder at you, and it comes out like this little, it's a pinch of powder.
Yeah.
But as it hits the air, it goes and turns into this cloud, fully envelops you, and then drops you back down. And you look at yourself, and you are your normal form now shrouded in this mist. Unclothed, as your clothes have torn and fallen to the floor beside you, but you are shrouded and covered by this mist. You can't even see, like, you hold your hands up kind of like right here in front of your face. You can't quite see them. You have to pull them like out of this cloud. And then you kind of like step back, and the cloud kind of seems to drift with you.
My tail just peeks up. It's like,
Yeah. We'll be outfitting you with a new wardrobe here before this time is done.
so do I have
Please
to get
fetch that
new
now.
clothes each time I do that?
I have a special set for you.
Oh, okay.
They have been,
I mean, I love all of this, but there's some around me who may not appreciate it.
Absolutely, they have been well crafted to form with this new state of being.
I shall call them Hulk pants. I'm kidding.
And they basically are.
Yeah.
And again, the most important thing with this ability, The other form you can take with this, which he goes at length to describe as being a wolf form. So your hybrid form is the winged, large, humanoid wolf figure. Your wolf form is that of just a somewhat large-sized white wolf with similar colorings.
Okay.
But the tail is that of a wolf. The horns aren't really present in that state. And you look more just like a large winter wolf.
Okay. So I could blend in with wildlife.
Kind of.
That way, kinda.
Though this type of wolf is somewhat rare. Not in the region you're going to, but in the regions you're from.
Yes.
You've only seen 2 ever. One of which being Kira's wolf, and the other being one that you had encountered in your younger years in the mountains north of Kazesh. After explaining this, he states again, intention is where your control lies. You must have a solid sense of yourself, focus inherently on what you wish to be done, and not let your emotions control your actions. Gain control of yourself, and you will gain control of your magics. And then he shows you, as for lighting the space up, and he lights both of his hands up, the incantation for this is as follows. And he comes closer to you and kind of makes the motion with his hands that does it, and shares with you a special command word. And you go to do so, and your hands are kind of like this dull light, and he says again, intention. Your intention is to light this space, not to test your ability. Light this space.
So she closes her eyes and thinks of the hand coming at her and seeing the look in Coral's eyes, the fear. That's what I'm going to visualize when I just do that.
Okay, and you light the entire space. Opening your eyes, you see you have to blink and kind of start back a little bit because it is so bright. And now dissipates. Good. Control is from intention. Master your emotions, Mazikeen. And then he goes on to explain variations on ways to do so. Gives you some like mental exercises per se. Teaches you the art of meditation in a very base form. Expresses to you how the benefits of clearing your mind and knowing yourself can help you to gain control of your abilities. He then has the clothing brought out, which happens to be your exact preference in attire. But as you put it on, you can even feel that it kind of seems to flex, even just in your normal form, as you kind of flex your muscles to pull it on, it seems to kind of do what you want.
Try it out.
And yeah. And so it's just like very free clothing. And then he explains further that the clothing itself will disappear once your form hits a certain point. However, when you come back down from the form, it will reappear at the same point, keeping you, for the most part, fully clothed, as you would imagine, from the coverings of hair that happen when you're in the hybrid form to the coverings acceptable to general society when you're in your normal form. That is the enchantment I have placed upon this.
Do you know many werewolves?
I am familiar with the tribes outside the mountains to the south, yes.
So are they all dressed this awesomely?
No.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Only a few have been able to gain my services as such. There are some more rudimentary enchantments that have been provided, but not in this manner. You are different from them, as you've seen.
Yes.
So
Mazikeen just bows as low as she can because he's a halfling. I thank you so much for all you've done.
Certainly. And I hope that the favors will be returned in such. And he then leads you kind of back the way you came, and then up out towards the doors, but then angling off up the ornate staircase that I described previously for the two of them, down to a room where you see a large minotaur standing there between two rooms.
Because I was about to ask, like, how do you know, like, is there, because I didn't notice guards. I'm like, you sure the blade will be safe?
Everything is always safe here. That is the nature of this place. That is the intention of this place. Only those I wish to be here even can be here.
That's very good to know.
Here's your room, and you look to see a door. Your companions are there and there, and I trust you will get some much-needed rest here.
I appreciate it. As she goes in, she says, and then closes the door, and then passes out.
And then all three of you, four, including Coral, here. Sleep well, travelers. I shall see you all when you awake. And that's where we're going to end tonight's episode. Right on time.
Sleepy time, yeah.
Like obnoxiously on time.
I'm like, ooh,
so
wow.
how do you like that?
I like them apples.
Anyways, that is it for this week. We will pick up where we are leaving off next Monday at 7 p.m. Central Time, right here on twitch.tv/RoleThis. Till then, be good to yourself. Adios.